Hey, what's up everybody? It is Kellen here from Start Your Systems, and welcome to another edition of MX vs ATV Supercross Encore official track gameplays, where today we are playing round number 16, East Rutherford, and I'm gonna let's do 12 laps today. Always like to mix it up, do something different, whatever. But yeah, round 16 of the series, a lot of chaos going on. It's been a wild week for me, and I'll just apologize now for the fact that this video is coming out late and that we've also been a little bit slow on the channel this week. What with me moving, I got the stomach flu, there was a bunch of drama, it was just all sorts of chaos. I started my new job and just a lot of stuff, so took me a little while to get healed up enough to be able to do a video, and this is going to be the first video that I'll do since I was basically dying over a toilet. Just was not a good time. Anyway, interesting track this week. It's gonna be another one of those tracks that I guess we'll see how it plays out when it actually races. What I think is the most interesting part about it is that it's very, very similar to last year's Toronto layout. It's got basically a triple in a section that it wasn't before. Like this is pretty much all the same as Toronto last year. This triple was here. But then over here was a rhythm section instead of a small little double into a Supercross triple. And then it seems as though they moved that rhythm section to be right here instead. And I'm just playing like Duke right now, just terrible. There we go. But then yeah, a little U-turn. I don't believe the sand section was here at Toronto. It was actually like a section before. But that multi-apex back and forth final couple of corners was classic Toronto from last year, and then kind of a, I don't know what you call that, a 130 first corner. It's not quite a 180, but it's not really a 90. Oh my god, these guys are so hard to pass. A little bit rusty at this game, as you can tell. I'm assuming me being sick isn't really helping that situation, but I'm going to try to get into the lead and try to get things settled down. I have to pass whoever this is. I don't know. I don't have the name on. 241. It is Derek Anderson. Oh, whippertail off the track. And I just found something that I wanted to talk about when I first played this track. It's a little interesting to see the Verb Moto bales still on the track in this game, given that Verb Moto doesn't exist anymore. I don't know if... I mean, I wasn't involved with the process making getting involved in this game at Verb necessarily, so I wonder if they signed some sort of contract that made it so Encore had to place the Verb bales through all of the official tracks or something like that. Not really sure, but like I said, it's just a little weird to see it given that it's been out of business since January, and here we are in April and they're still releasing brand new tracks with the bales on them, so I'm not too sure what that is all about. Not that I really care, just thought it was kind of weird, you know, but whatever. As for real life Supercross, as I usually talk about them in these videos, man oh man, how about Eli Tomac? Every time I keep saying like, oh, you know, he just needs a bad start, or he's going to crash one of these weeks, or something's going to happen that it will allow Dungey to win. He turned something that should have been nothing into a win for sure. As soon as that race started, I turned to my fiance and said, well, Dungey's gonna win this race, and laps kept ticking by. I'm thinking, all right, well, maybe Tomac gets a second, but there's no way that Dungey just tanks this hard. And sure enough, Tomac was making up tons and tons of ground, chopped away at the lead, ended up passing for the lead, obviously, and I was kind of in shock. I really couldn't believe it. I knew Tomac definitely had the speed to catch him, but you never know when you start. I mean, he started across the first lap, he was 17th or something like that. When you start that far back, you usually end up kind of falling in behind a couple people, getting stuck, like he did at Seattle, for example. I know he didn't have to win the race at Seattle, but he didn't just blow by Cooper Webb and Jason Anderson. He kind of like got to them and then stayed with their speed for a little bit. So I kind of expected that same thing to happen where, okay, yeah, he'd get into like 5th or something, but then not really be able to do much more than that. If he got on the podium, that'd be like a win for him. And then he just charged around all those guys, charged around Dungey, then pulled away, won the race. I mean, at this point, you have to feel like the way things are going for him, that there's no way he's going to lose this title at this point. I know Dungey's still only 3 points down. There's 2 rounds to go. Anything could happen, etc., etc., etc. But it's just like Tomac is on fire right now. So what do you do to stop him? You know, I thought for sure Dungey starting in the top 3, getting the lead before the end of the first lap and trying to pull away would be it. And it wasn't. You know, Dungey just couldn't. First of all, he didn't really get that far away from Anderson, which I was kind of surprised about. I thought as soon as Dungey got in the lead, he would be like, all right, you know what, this is getting stupid. I'm gonna check out right now. I'm gonna put it behind me and go on, win this race. You know, nobody can say anything about it anymore, blah blah blah. But he kind of just like pulled away from Anderson a little bit, gapped him by like 3 seconds, and then didn't really get much farther than that. Just kind of stayed right there, and I was a little bit surprised. Like I said, I thought for sure he'd just be gone, you know, like 10 seconds out in front before Tomac even got there. But no, I mean, I don't necessarily think that lost him the race, but I think if he charged harder at the beginning, he would have had a lot easier chance of winning that race. And Tomac would have had to push a lot harder to catch him, which in turn may have made him made a mistake. So it's you know, it's a little weird to see kind of where Dungey's mindset is at this point. I think his speed is still there. I think that whatever he had going at the second and third round that was pretty much Ken Roczen level speed still exists somewhere in Ryan Dungey. It's there. It's not just like it goes away. It's just it seems like he's not comfortable pushing the bike or not comfortable pushing himself or something to go that speed. Now, on the other hand, I think Tomac is pushing over, quote unquote, the limits of what you can kind of do on a dirt bike. That ride was very James Stewart-esque, and James Stewart, as talented as James Stewart is, could never ride that pace that long. So I'm a little bit concerned that Tomac is going to ride a lot like he did in 2015 at the beginning of Nationals and just whatever, wing it. I'm feeling comfortable now. No, you know, nothing else is standing in my way. I'm just going to go balls to the walls. And I hope that doesn't mean that he wads up again like he did in Thunder Valley, because that's kind of what I feel like could happen with the speed he's going. It just takes one little kick here or there to happen, just like it did in Colorado. And it'd kind of be a shame to have that happen, because it seems like Tomac has really found his groove and found a new level. And while I don't necessarily think that Ken Roczen is going to come back and be the same person he once was, if he comes back and is even remotely close to what he once was, then I think Tomac and him could have some epic battles for the years to come. And I don't want to see Tomac get hurt because he's pushing over his limits or anything like that, of course. So here's to hoping that Tomac riding that fast doesn't get him injured. I think that he understands his comfort level and knows that in some aspect he can go that speed and not have any issues. But we've seen it before that even he, when pushing, can, you know, eat it big time. It's happened to everybody. It's happened to Reed. It's happened to Stu. It's happened to Dunge. Hell, it's happened to Villapoto. So nobody is safe in that aspect. And not saying it's going to happen Supercross. I honestly feel like at this point it's like I said, it's really tough to bet against Tomac in terms of winning this title. But who the heck knows what could happen going into East Rutherford. As for the 250 class, back on the East one more time before the East-West shootout. Osborne, Savacci, Cianciarulo, all those guys going back at it again. Savacci's still leading the standings. Jordan Smith is second, 6 points down after winning the last time they raced in St. Louis. And Osborne, like I said, I think he's 10 or 11 points down or something like that. He's still close enough that if he could win this weekend, it puts a lot of pressure on Savacci going into Vegas. It's really interesting to see that Jordan Smith has kind of worked his way into this fight, because, I mean, he went from never winning a Supercross main event before to winning back-to-back main events and realistically having a shot at the title. And I don't necessarily see him being the guy. He could, but I don't see it. If he does, that's fantastic. And fortunately for him, as I discussed in a recent video, he would have pointed out had it been for the rules that were in existence when the season started. But however, they are supposedly going to do some new rule that it takes 4 years of scoring X amount of points, which I believe is 135 for a 9-race series, and you can defend your championship once after you win it in your 3rd try of those 135 point seasons, or something like that. Whatever it is, it basically means that Davalos can stay, Savatgy can stay, Justin Hill could stay if he wanted to. Not that I think Hill or Savatgy won't go to 450s, but I think if Jordan Smith had pointed out, it would have been kind of like a, oh crap, where is he going to go? Because, you know, TLD KTM is technically the feeder team for Red Bull KTM in the 450 class. And I'd imagine that even if Ryan Dungey retires, they would go after some other big name guy in some aspect. Not to say that Smith is not a big name guy. I'm just saying they'd probably go after another 450 guy before they shop around their own farm, if you will. So if Smith wins, cool. But again, not too sure it's going to be him. I still think it could be Osborne or Savatgy to win this title. And my hope is that it's just a good race and that it goes to Vegas. I still stick by my prediction that Dylan Ferrandis is going to win a race before the season is up. If it's going to happen, I think it's going to have to happen this weekend, because the East-West Shootout is always kind of just like crazy. He could theoretically win that because it is a crazy race and some guys aren't trying, a la Justin Hill. Now winning the championship, probably doesn't really care about winning that race. So that could be a thing where West doesn't really, you know, mean a whole lot. Ferrandis just rides like an animal. Savatgy rides safe or something like that, and Ferrandis could win. But again, I think Ferrandis could win this weekend in East Rutherford. I guess we'll have to see. Gonna stick by my pick for him to win a race. See how that one goes. So far, I have not been very good on my picks of things that will happen in Supercross this year. But I'd like to be right at least once. I feel like I know at least a little bit about what I'm talking about. And I felt like I was going to do it when Ferrandis was damn leading the race at Detroit. I thought for sure he was going to win that race, but then faded late, unfortunately. What are you going to do? Going to be an interesting weekend for sure, though. I'm looking forward to it, and I hope you guys are as well. East Rutherford, always an interesting race. I forget if it's going to be a day race this year or not. I don't believe it will be. But it has been in the past years, so who knows. Trying to get used to this track. It's a very tricky track, like I said. It's, at least in this game, it's got some just kind of weird, quirky sections about it that you have to hit very, very smoothly, correctly, whatever you want to call it, to get a clean lap. And so far, I haven't been the smoothest with it. As some people commenting on these videos will say, I am not the best player at this game. You're damn right I'm not. I'm not here for being the best player in the game. I'm here for the entertainment value it brings. I think it's a pretty fun game. As I've grown accustomed to it, gotten more used to it, I definitely feel like I like it a little bit more, which is a good thing, that the playability comes around a little bit and it's not just all bad. But this is going to be another video on an official track in MX vs. ATV Supercross Encore East Rutherford in the books, and we will see you guys in the next one.